Hey, everybody. How are you? Welcome back to Vikings Report Rewind Live. I am your humble host, Ted Glover. To my immediate, I guess, left. Yeah, that'd be to my left.
Good guess.
Stage right is the one, the only Mr. Drew Bunting, the other half of this mediocre duo. Somewhere in the background is Ruby with doing all the technical stuff, making it all happen. Drew Bunting, my friend, you big dummy. How are you?
Oh, Freddie Sanford, it's been a while. I'm doing good. Doing great, Ted. Waiting to get back on and do a show, and I'm thinking, do I remember how to do this?
I don't. I have no idea.
Welcome to everybody out there who's tuning in. You got to help us get caught up on the Vikings and take some comments and questions, and Toots will sort through them. Ted, we are 67 days away from opening day, regular season.
I can't believe it.
Against Tampa. And we are only 36 days away from the preseason opener. 36!
When we last did our show, we were like 243 days away from the regular season. That's how long it's been since we've done a show.
Yes.
So with that, like the last time we did a show, it was right after the draft. So I hope you had a good Memorial Day, Juneteenth, and 4th of July all rolled into one. Get all those holidays out of the way.
That's right.
Now we're all the summer holidays are over. I think the next significant one is Labor Day in September.
Yes, I believe so.
All righty.
And for the first time ever, we are on at the same time.
Yeah, look. Yeah, so I was going to ask, how's your summer vacation been? Because the reason we were on kind of a hiatus is because I had gone on a couple of fishing trips, and when I came back from one, you guys were just getting ready to move to Missouri, and by the time you got moved over to Missouri and we're getting ready to almost get set up and we could start doing shows again, I went on another vacation. I went overseas to see the homeland in Norway, and really great vacation in Sweden. We were there, so we got the Scandinavian, bucket list vacation out of the way for me. But now we're back and all that stuff's over. So how'd the move go? Had everything go all right with you?
When is moving ever good? Besides the location change, it's been, moving, taking 6 birds in a car and going across the country and get pretty stressed out. So I'm an alcoholic now, but we have been so pleased with Chester Taylorville that we love it in Chesterfield. We do. Everything is so great that it's just been great. It's been great.
For those of you that don't know, Drew and Ruby moved from California to Chesterfield, Missouri, which is about
1,951 miles.
And only like half an hour from where I live. So we'll probably be doing a couple of live shows side by side at some point this season, but we'll figure that out.
We didn't know how long to really drive in a day. We didn't really have it planned. We don't know how long to drive.
Just drive till you're tired?
We drove 16 hours the first day.
Did you really? Did you stop and see any sights along the way?
No, Ted. We just wanted to get there.
You just kind of want to get,
we did spend a couple extra days staying at a hotel. The hotel had a really comfortable bed.
Uh-huh.
So Ruby signed up for another night so we can figure out how to take it home with us because it's really, really nice. But we are here, and I am happy to be in your time frame, and we are going to get together soon and do a live show together.
We will. So real quick, a couple announcements before we get going. I think we're still affiliated with Purple Plain Forums. We weren't May. I haven't spoken to anybody over there. We might be canned. I don't know. But let's just go on the assumption we're still working with Purple Plain Forums. It's a great Minnesota Vikings website to talk and chat about the Minnesota Vikings. And right now they have a really hot thread going on, authored by a guy by the name of Rainman, Reign, Rainman. And he calls it his smartass thread. And that's the season modified around Rain's team adjusted stat system. It's a whole bunch of stats and charts about how he thinks the Vikings rank in terms of how good of a team they are. I've looked at it. It's awesome. He explains his system, if you will, his smart-ass system. I personally like the acronym. I wouldn't change it, but that's just me. So head over there, check that out, and sign up for an account over on Purple Plain Forums. Unless they fired us, then never go to that site again. No, they're good people. It's a good site.
They're going, where's Ted and Drew? The newspapers are stacking up on the porch. We don't know where they're at.
Look, and we've got one thing we've got returning. We've got Toons' Wheel of Destiny at the end of the show.
Yeah.
If you're watching now, just make a comment. Just say, hi, how's it going? Ask us a question. We are going to be wrong, like even more than we normally are, because we just haven't been up to speed on the Vikings. We've been busy.
Come on.
ask us a question and we'll try and answer it. And look, all you do, if you make a comment, you'll be entered to win a prize. You can, hey, Purple Pain Forms just hopped on. No one is fired.
We're not fired. We're not fired.
We're not fired. We still have a job.
I love that site. I love them. Go there, everybody.
Yep. Sign up and get an account. Anyways, and we'll spin the Toons' Wheel of Destiny for a prize at the end of the show. You can check out the prize vault over on our website, VikingsReport.com. Ruby's got a link to the prize vault. If you win, just pick a prize and email Ruby, and we'll do all that stuff later. All right.
Now that we moved, we're going to revise the prize vault. It's going to be awesome, Ted.
Okay, good deal.
Really, really awesome. I'm glad we're not fired.
Yeah, I am too. I was kind of worried I'd talk to anybody over there like for a long time.
Hey, Ted, are we still a podcast over there? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Sure.
It's good to see everybody in the chat. Well done.
It is. Yeah, it's good to see everybody. It's good to be back. It's great to be back doing this show. Also, unfortunately, real quick, our buddy Chris Gates, who's normally with us, he actually has a job and responsibilities, and he couldn't join us this evening. But we will have Chris on for the regular season for a Vikings Report Rewind show. Go ahead, buddy. What were you going to say?
Also, Ted, remember, if you blew off a digit last night during the 4th of July ceremonies, remember, everybody gets a mug.
Yeah.
But you have to have photos, doctor's thing. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're all Jason Pierre-Paul, just send us a picture of your mangled digits.
You might need a better cup than this, though.
And yeah.
That's not your 3-fingered mug right there. But if you blew off a digit and your life's really down, you have something to look forward to tonight.
We just need video proof and a doctor's note. We'll send you a free cup.
Yeah, we're not talking about a dangler. We're blowing it clean off.
No, it's got to be gone. It's got to be gone. It's got to be gone like Dalvin Cook.
Yes. What about that, Ted? That's like one of a few things I heard. The first thing I heard when I went online after moving for a month, I think it's a good time to trade Justin Jefferson. I thought to myself, did this move take me to the Twilight Zone? Because that's ridiculous. But the other thing was Cook. I'd heard he'd left.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I'm glad we didn't kind of do a show for 2 months is because the only significant news, like concrete, actual news that happened was the Vikings released Dalvin Cook. He was scheduled to make $14 million. That is just way too much for a running back to be paid in this day and age in the NFL. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, being the analytics kind of centric GM that he is, wasn't going to pay that. He tried to trade Dalvin. There were rumors about him and a few different teams and trades, but that never materialized, and he was done. And other than that, it's been nothing but, pardon my French, but rumors and bullshit for like 2 months.
Well,
that's all it's been.
We still could have done a show on all the 3 cone times by the tight ends on the roster.
Or we could have done, should the Vikings trade Justin Jefferson and what could they get in a trade? I mean, look, you people are stupid to even think that. You just are. To entertain that ridiculousness.
In the post, so he says, this is why it, quote unquote, makes sense.
Yeah. It does not make sense.
It doesn't. There's no sense in it whatsoever. No. Stop.
No.
Shut
Done.
up.
Stop it.
Trade
Stop it. But Dalvin Cook did actually get released. That was actually legitimate news.
Tell Reggie we're going to talk about him later.
Yeah, Dwayne McBride going to ball once he gets his shot. I believe that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Barbecue Smokehouse King. So the one side of the argument is, look, they're not going to pay $14 million, and I think they're going to need that money in future years to start working on extensions for guys like T.J. Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, any of these other rookies that may work out, etc. But he was hands down, without question, the best running back on this roster.
Absolutely.
Did you like or dislike that move?
I understood why it had to happen, and it's something that is part of the change that Adolfo-Mensah has been doing. Get the contracts, the financial, move it along, get the gloom out, do all this, and so I understand why the move had to be made. I think Dalvin Cook's got a couple really good years left in him. But it's more of the changing of the guard thing, Ted. He's on the downhill side of his career. He gets injured a lot. But they have to figure it out because you lose. Right now, they're not as strong at running back. Right now without Cook there. Cook is a special back to watch. And I don't know how they're going to replace him. It's going to take 3 guys or 1 guy or Mr. McBride, who we're going to talk about here shortly. But you hate to lose the production of a guy like that, but it had to happen with the money, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that has been dinged up historically with injuries. I think last year was the first year he didn't miss any games due to injuries. He's approaching that line of demarcation of 30 years old for running back, where historically they just fall off a rock or fall off a cliff in terms of production. And his production had started to go down. He was, I think, one of the stats I saw in terms of like either yards before, or yards after contact. He was one of the worst running backs in the NFL with that. So his numbers were starting to go down. You'll go ahead.
I'm just going to say, Ted, but the big thing you're going to miss with Dalvin Cook, the big thing is that run in Buffalo, that run against the Colts when he made it all, he ran. That's the kind of plays that they don't have right now unless somebody steps up. But there's a certain, I can name 100 plays Cook had that got the team charged up and got ready to go. So who do we have now that can pull off those runs like we did? That Buffalo run totally changed the game.
It did. Well, and that catch and run in the Colts game and that huge comeback.
Right.
I mean, that was a chunk play and score they needed right away, or they wouldn't have won that game either. But yeah, let's talk about the running back room right now. You've got Alexander Madison. He's gonna enter training camp as running back 1. Then you've got Ty Chandler, Dwayne McBride, and Kene Nwangwu. Are you comfortable with the running back room right now, or do you think they need to add some help?
When you lose a Dalvin Cook, you're never comfortable right off the bat.
Okay.
But I like the group because each guy brings something a little different. I mean, Madison's going to be the workhorse, but how many carries has he gotten in a game? What is it, 4 or 5? He's got to bump that up a lot. He's never been, but when he started, he's gotten good production.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that.
I think he had a couple 100-yard games in subbing for Dalvin Cook a couple years ago when Dalvin was injured. I mean, but I agree with you. He's a good kind of between the tackles guy, but if you need an explosive play, I agree with you. He's not the guy, but is there somebody in the running back room that you think might be that explosive that can get you that electric play that gets a team going?
I am pretty fired up on Nwangwu.
Mm-hmm.
I know Chandler's going to be like a change of pace guy. I'm looking forward to those two guys really seeing what they can do this year. Nwangwu's third year? He hasn't gotten a sniff at running back, but when he's been in there, he's made some good plays. When you look at it, time for running back, it's not just running and carrying the ball and not getting rid of it. It's your blocking. Can you pick up the blocks? Do you know the blocking scheme? Which is something Dalvin Cook was really good at.
Yeah.
Besides being the best running back, he was the best pickup blocker guy. I don't know. And Ham's pretty good at that, but he's a fullback. What you going to get out of him? I'm looking at the Chandler, the guy from North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna open some eyes, Ted. But I'm interested to see how they're going to break down this committee. I imagine they're going to start by giving Madison the brunt of the carries, and then they bring this guy in and this guy. But Wang Chung has been on the team 3 seasons. He hasn't really gotten any time at running back. I don't know whether he doesn't know how to pick up a blitz or what.
Yeah, and we go back to the running back by committee versus a bell cow back. Nicholas Russin brought up a really good comment. He said the risk of depending on a bell cow back is injury. You can lead the league in rushing yards and touchdowns until your running back gets hurt. Then you're usually screwed because the 2, 3, and 4 backs don't get a lot of carries, and that's fair. Duluth Krieger asked what I'm drinking. I'm drinking water. I got nothing right now, buddy. I had milk for supper, believe it or not.
I wore this shirt specifically for David Stefano. It's my bourbon whiskey shirt. Look at that, Dave. I wore it just for you. I'm excited about the committee approach. They're going to make up those yards. How many yards is Madison going to get? Can Madison last an entire season, even if they decide to start going with him? But I think Dwayne McBride's going to I think that guy might be the storyline of the early season.
And a lot of people after the draft said they were shocked that he lasted until the 7th round, and B, you said right before we went on there, we were talking. What did you say about him? He reminded you of who on the roster?
He reminds me of Madison at Boise State. I went back, watched tape on both guys, and I watched some more on McBride, but they always move the line forward. They're not the shiftiest guys, but they're good at keeping their balance when they find the hole they want to take. And they want to pound it.
That's what he said.
When I watch the tape on both, nice one. Now we're off and running, right? I love the explosiveness. If they both aren't going to give you that long touchdown run that Cook, we're so familiar with seeing Cook catch on screen passes and running up the middle. But, they don't have the long speed, neither guy, but they're very physical runners. And McBride, I'd say right now, he's probably going to be a little better than Madison. But I am stoked at that. You watch that guy's tape, Ted, the balance, the power. The only problem I found with that guy is he fumbles. He's fumbled 11 times the last 2 seasons. So that's got to be worked on, and that's got to be fixed. But they're both kind of subpar receiving skills-wise. So he's going to have to work on that also. But I just like his style of running because McBride is some guys just look really natural taking off, and they're not scared to, anything. The falling forward is the most impressive part. Yeah. We'll have to see if McBride can pick up 1 yard to seal off a game like they did in Seattle, and then we'll be satisfied.
So Chris Young talks about our guy Wongwu. He's a specialist actually with the new return rules. He may be 4th on the depth chart, and he said he's a Cyclone fan who watched him every week. Our main guy Reggie thinks Kane is number 2 back on the depth chart at running back. I personally think if you're looking at Madison as RB1, I think Ty Chandler probably enters camp as RB2, but that's just me. What do you think on that?
I would agree with that.
You think it's Wangwu or Ty Chandler?
I would agree with that until maybe game 10, game 11. McBride's not going to start early. He's not going to get a lot of – because running backs don't, even in the Mike Zimmer system. I would say Chandler, he had a couple games there at the end where he really impressed. He really impressed. But do we have that back that Drew always talks about? Can he hit the home run? And Dalvin Cook has hit more home runs at the running back position than a lot of Vikings have. Can you get that play out of any of those guys? Can you get that long run touchdown out of any of these players?
I think Ty Chandler and Kane Wongwu have that potential. I'm going to go with your opinion on Dwayne McBride kind of being a Madison type back.
Not to be confused with the great Bake McBride, Ted.
Oh, yeah, former Phillies outfielder.
Yeah, Bake McBride.
That's some good Phillies teams back in the day.
That's Bake and Bake. Oh, yeah. With
Greg Luzinski, Mike Schmidt.
Dude, Mike Schmidt hit a home run in 78 on the Padre game I went to that's still in the air. They can't find it. Mike Schmidt. Yeah, that was good teams.
Anyway, so but overall though, I think the potential is there to have an overall better running game because you can bring in different types of backs in different situations to address the down and distance that the Vikings are facing. And I think when you don't have a guy that's commanding $14 million a year, you don't feel obligated to play that individual when you think that somebody else might be better suited for a typical situation or for a certain situation.
It's well said, Ted. Well said.
But I 100% agree with you in the fact that there is not anybody on the roster right now that looks to be better than Dalvin Cook has been for the Vikings since he was drafted in 2017, I think it was.
It's going to be interesting how it all plays out. I personally like the home run ability like Cook had. Might not have that now, but there's a lot of teams that don't have. Kansas City doesn't have that.
No.
They have number 1 offense in the league. They didn't have a home run hitting running back, did they?
I don't think so.
They don't have that.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, was pretty good. They had. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. Somebody in the comments help me out on this one, but they had a 7th round running back that late in the season just had a great Super Bowl, had a great run in the playoffs.
And that's kind of what we're hoping McBride turns into.
Our guy Anthony Tollison is saying that guy's name was Pacheco.
Yes.
I'll go with him.
Isaiah Pacheco from Rutgers, Ted.
There you go. Okay. Isaiah Pacheco from Rutgers. And we've had a couple questions about the defense. A couple things real quick. We're not talking defense tonight because Drew and I had a hard enough time studying the offense to get ready for this show because it's been so long.
This is literally night.
Yeah, I didn't look at any football stuff for the better part of a month and a half. And
did you learn any Norwegian? That's what I want to know. How do you say "give me a beer" Norwegian?
Give me a beer because everybody speaks English over there.
Oh. You only have to tip 6% though.
Yeah. But so yeah, we're going to talk about defense on our next show, but hold those questions and we'll answer them at a later date. But they're all really good questions. But with the running back room, that sort of leads to the offense in general. With Dalvin Cook gone, you can kind of expect that the Vikings are going to go to a lot more 3 wide receiver sets. They drafted Jordan Addison in the first round. How do you see the offense as we get ready to head to training camp and into the 2023 season?
When you look at any group, offense, defense, whatever, you look at the Vikings, and they are, on paper, that is that term again, a group that you would think would be easy top 3 or top 4. But let me start off by saying what I always say. I don't care who you got on offense. If you got a crappy plan and a crappy scheme and you don't have coaches that can find mismatches, because that's what offense is. It's sending Cooper Kupp away, so what's his name will pick him up. Barr will pick him up, and he beats him on that's mismatching. You find mismatches, which is kind of like Bill Parcells' thing. But if you don't have a good plan and a good scheme, it doesn't matter who you have. You're not gonna get it done. And Ted, you may disagree with me on this, but I don't think they're still not as aggressive as they need to be. With Zimmer, going back to the Zimmer time, they are not aggressive offensively. They don't step on people's throat. They don't have the killer instinct. I still feel that way when I watch the Vikings play. And I know first-year head coaches are a little gun shy. They are. All of them are, except Parcells. He never was. Or Chuck Noll. So I understand he's getting a little gun shy on that. But, I mean, do you still feel that they're a little bit vanilla, a little bit non-attacking? I don't see enough of it. I do not see enough of it, even since when KOC for one season. They got to get more aggressive. They have to.
I think they were more aggressive. I just think it was the offense was just out of sync and didn't execute very well at times last year.
You know, and they're right there. They're right. And I'm not pissing on them. I'm just saying, I mean, look at these numbers from last year that I looked up. Ted, where are they?
I don't know. Where are they?
These are very important.
Did you leave them in California?
No, I left my mind there. Both, what the hell is it? Here we go. Offensively, 2022, Vikings ranked 7th with 6,145 yards.
That's not bad. That's a top 10 offense.
Total points, they were 7th, but 5th in the NFC, 424 points. Very good.
That's not bad.
And 382 first downs was 3rd only behind the 2 Super Bowl teams.
Well, there you go.
The Eagles and it was Chiefs and Eagles. They were in the Super Bowl last year, right?
They were.
Chiefs, Eagles, Vikings in terms of first downs. That's 3rd in the whole league, Ted.
That's good.
So they can generate the offense, but
you're setting me up for something. What's the?
I'm setting you up for now that you got Addison. It should be first off, this whole offense is going to run through Hawkinson now. It is. That's the important guy on the team. That's the guy you got to keep healthy. That's where it's all going to start, and it's going to end with Kelsey's going to lead the league in touchdowns. Kelsey. Hawkins is going to lead the league in touchdowns and yards gained. He's going to beat out Kelsey for that. I think with Addison, there's a lot of wiggle room to open up different plays. And Bud Grant used to say, Ted?
Not much. He was a very stoic man.
He didn't like predictability. He said, when you're predictable, run, pass, punt, run. When you're predictable as an offense, you're vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Predictability breeds vulnerability. And I think that there's a lot to be said. That's true. That's a true statement by Grant.
I don't disagree.
You got to mix it up. And the Vikings aren't aggressive enough, and they don't mix it up enough. You got to change your – I mean, I see it a little bit. I see it when they do it. And we talked during the game live last year going, why don't they run that all the time?
Yeah, I think and a couple points. I want to mention a couple comments before we get too far behind on them. And they kind of go together, I think. My worthless opinion said opposing defensive coordinators had to game plan for Dalvin. Now opposing defensive coordinators don't have a guy to plan for. Is that a good thing? I don't necessarily agree that they had to game plan or scheme for Dalvin Cook specifically.
Great question, though. Great question.
Very great question. And our buddy Dave Loof Krieger asks, on the running game, efficiency comes with more singles, doubles, and triples versus the occasional home run. Getting 3 or 4 yards on first or second down leaves short third downs and an open playbook, which I completely 100% agree with.
I do too.
And I think that is what the Vikings are looking for in the running game in 2023. How many times last year did Dalvin Cook get a handoff of first down and get like nothing or -1 yard?
That's what I'm talking about. Dave makes a point, but you can't just keep doing the same thing. Like you said, how many times? It was probably 10 times a game he ran that up the middle for no. Stop doing it. Stop.
And now when you have a guy that in some sense, I think my worthless opinion was correct on if Dalvin Cook's in the ball game and it's 1st and 10, there's a pretty good chance that he's going to get the ball. I don't think you have that predictability, for lack of a better word, right now.
Well, we'll see.
In terms of the running backs, and now you have another potential playmaking wide receiver in Jordan Addison that can really make things difficult for game planning this offense. So we'll see. I think they have the potential to be very unpredictable and very explosive, and we'll go from there.
This will solidify my point more. Back in 2003, we played the 49ers in the Dome. The first play of the fourth quarter, the Vikings were up 28-0. And the first play of the fourth quarter was a 59-yard bomb to Randy Moss for a touchdown. Up 28-0, fourth quarter. Up 28-0 in the fourth quarter, Ted. That's what I'm getting back. And I know Luftkrieger will agree with me. This is what we've been waiting for a long time. And it wasn't some wide receiver screen or some quick slant to Moss where he took it the distance, because he did that a lot. It was in the air down to the goal line. He caught it for a touchdown. So they were actually throwing deep. It wasn't just some fluke play. They were up 28-0 in the fourth quarter, and they're throwing deep. That's what you got to do. You got to be that team. You got to be that aggressive. If that makes my point more clear, then that's the game the best exemplifies that.
No, I agree. I mean, look, and they have the tools to be able to do that now. I mean, you could argue in recent years. I don't know that they did. Well, they also had a coach with a philosophy that just give me 17 points and I'll let the defense win the game. I don't think Kevin O'Connell has that. I think part of it was first-year head coach jitters, and you don't want to do something stupid. But I will say Kevin O'Connell figured out ways to win football games when I didn't think the Vikings had a snowball's chance in hell of winning football games last year.
But you're not getting that string of one-score games again. It's not going to happen.
No, I don't know. I think if they get into a situation like that again this year, the law of averages at some point is going to catch up to them. It just does. It always does.
Like we talked during that Colt game, they fell behind 33-0.
Jeez. Yeah.
And then they took the speed governor off and went, we just got to go for it.
Yeah.
If they'd have played that whole second halfway, the whole game, they'd have smoked the Colts. But
yeah,
it shouldn't take that to get you into your mojo. It shouldn't take that.
I agree.
By the way, touchdown was thrown by Gus Frerotte, and I was very proud. Was
it really?
Yeah, and T.O. was getting mad because the Vikings kept knocking the ball away and tackling him before he caught it. It was good. Sometimes I go back and watch those old games, Ted.
I should. I don't even remember that game.
28-0 in the fourth quarter. We're throwing bombs.
I hope the Vikings do that again this year. I hope they do.
I mean, our college teams do it, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, both our college teams grind it in, man. They do not let up.
No, they don't. No. So that kind of is how we see the offense. Let's look at the projected starters. Drew had a great idea. He said, "Hey, let's grade our starters on a scale of 1 to 10." So we'll just start at the quarterback and work our way down through the rest of the starters. We're going to go with 3 wide receivers and only 1 running back. We're going to throw in Jordan Addison as a starter just because we think he's going to start, and he's the first-round pick, and I think it's worth talking about. So
if he can't start, you've got a problem.
Grade 1 through 10. How do you have Kirko, Chains, Cousins?
Do you want me to read the whole list or just one at a time? Go back and forth.
We'll do one at a time.
I got Cousins at a 7.
That's where I have him. Yeah. Good, but not like in the rarefied era of an elite quarterback.
No, we didn't compare these notes. Tell everybody.
No, we did not. We're revealing the answers to each other real time.
You got to know about Vikings Report. We're always authentic and we're always honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes, okay, we'll leave it at that. Go ahead.
We're
7
we're
for
here. So you gave Kirk a 7. Why did you give Kirk a 7? I said because
everything you just said.
Okay. All right.
He's better than average, but he's not elite. You can only do so much with a guy that's not mobile. I think he's the best non-mobile quarterback in the league, but I thought 7 was a really fair grade for him.
I thought it was too. Alexander Hamilton Madison.
I'll let you go first on this one.
I gave him a 6.
I gave him a 6.
Did you really?
What about that?
Wow.
What about that, Ted? We're on the.
Yeah, I mean, Madison feels like a league average guy, but he has the potential. And I consider league average 5. But now that he's in his few starts that he's had, he's shown that he can be a pretty productive guy. So I bumped it up to a 6 because I think he has the potential to be slightly above league average.
Nothing for me to add to that. That's exactly how I feel.
All right.
Can he put 100 like Cook used to? It's easy to put up a 100-yard game when you haven't started for 7 weeks. But
yeah, that's true. I mean, he was a lot more well-rested and not nearly as banged up as Cook was. But I also wonder how many chances he'll get to produce with you. You got to assume that, McBride and Chandler and even Wong are probably going to get more looks than they did in recent years because Cook's not there.
I agree.
So, anyways, wide receivers. Justin Jefferson, what do you got for JJ?
Come on, Ted. I think we should trade him.
This is why it makes sense.
He's a 10.
Yep.
Took me a split second to do it, but people got to realize in the last 40, 50 years, there's only been a handful of Justin Jeffersons. Once, if you want to trade him, you got your head in your hole.
Yeah.
And another, I don't mean that in a bad way. And Rice, Marvin Harrison, Carter, you can name the guys that were awesome, and he's right in there with them. He's a 10. If the scale went up to 20, he'd be a 20.
Yep. Same reason. I've got him as a 10 as well. Probably WR2 heading into camp is KJ Osborne. I couldn't decide between a 6 or a 7. He has the potential to be kind of a top end wide receiver, a very good wide receiver, but there are just too many moments in games where he just completely disappears. I mean, the dude's invisible. But then you have a game like we talked about the Colts, and he was the guy that got the Vikings offense going in the second half. So I'm going to go with a 6.
I gave Osborne a 5.
Did you really? Okay.
Because to this point, he's been solid in a few areas, but he's still, to me, an average. On a scale of 1 to 10, average is 5. So he has to prove a little bit more to me.
That's legit.
I think he will. He's looking forward to probably getting more chances. He doesn't get a lot of chances, but that might be kind of mean to give him a 5, but I gave him a 5. So
that's a very fair grade, I think. Jordan Addison, what do you got for the rookie wide receiver out of the University of Southern California?
With the fighting USC Trojans. What did Keith Jackson always say? Yibbity, yibbity. What did he say? Oh, that was a NASCAR guy. He used to say something. I gave
Nelly.
Whoa, Nelly. I gave Justin Addison a 5. Hey, what else am I supposed to give him? He hasn't done anything yet. He gets a 5.
Okay, real quick. Purple Pain Forums asked, Thielen recently said KJ is a WR1 in this league. Thoughts on that? I think the potential is there.
Well, potential's a lot different than now.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started playing guitar, I could say I'm good as Eddie Van Halen, but that was when I started playing. Then I proved years later I'm not. I don't think he's a number 1.
I don't think so either. I mean, no. I think he can be a good WR2. I don't know that he can be a top guy, though.
Well, yeah, he's a top guy with Laquan Treadwell on one side, and that, and the other guy, the Fabergé egg on the other. He's a number 1 guy.
Chad Beebe.
Chad Beebe. KJ would be number 1 between those guys. I don't.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe he's a solid number 2. He is. He's proven that at least. But a number 1.
Yeah.
You think he is?
No. I'm having a hard time getting there from here with KJ Osborne.
Who's next, Ted? You're pretty even so far.
Now, you gave Jordan Addison a 5.
Yes. What'd you give him?
I gave him a 6 because, and only because, he's a first-round draft pick. First-round draft picks should contribute right away, in my opinion. They should be close to immediate starters. It looks like he is going to be. So I expect him to produce. Now, I'm not expecting 1,000 yards. I'm not expecting, 15 touchdowns. But I'm not expecting Laquan Treadwell either. I mean, I want 5. And when you look at Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and KJ Osborne, I think it's going to be hard for him to get 1,000 yards his rookie year because Kirk is a veteran. He already knows Justin Jefferson. He already knows KJ Osborne. He's got trust factors with those guys and TJ Hawkinson. It's going to take him a while to get up to speed. I think once he gets up to speed, he's gonna produce though.
You reminded me of something I thought about yesterday that I had forgotten until you just brought it up. You're talking about basic quarterbacks. It takes a long time to get in sync with a wide receiver. It's a really tough thing to do because in college, nobody does man-to-man. Everybody's open. It's a zone. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Going back to his Redskins day, Kirk Cousins always been an easy guy to adjust to. Look at how fast he got online with Justin Jefferson and Thielen. It didn't take long for that to get going at all. And look at Hawkinson. Hawkinson looked like he'd been playing with Cousins for 4 years.
Yeah. So
I think Cousins has a lot to do with throwing guys open, talking to him about their routes or whatever. He's a great quarterback to get that get comfortable thing is done a lot quicker with Cousins than the normal quarterback. I will say that. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So Addison's in a good position. And when if Addison catches fire early, that's going to cause defensive coordinators to crap their pants.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because JJ will start going off. So, and Addison was number 1 on the Drew Big Board. What am I going to say? I researched.
Or if they lock down Justin Jefferson, it's going to be a lot of opportunities for Addison and KJ Osborne to step up. And if they can prove it early, defenses are going to have to focus somewhat on KJ Osborne and Jordan Addison, and that's just going to open up the gauge for Justin Jefferson. I mean, the potential is just stupid good for this offense.
No, it is, and there's almost when you mention the names on paper, why are we ever kicking a field goal? We should score every time. You got JJ, Osborne, Addison, Hawkinson,
and
then Chandler coming out of the backfield as a change of pace screen back. I mean, how do you stop the Vikings?
I know. It feels on paper like this is going to be a very good offense.
You gave him, a 6? Okay.
I gave Addison a 6, yeah. Okay. So let's move to tight ends. We mentioned TJ Hawkins' name. He came over in the draft or the trade deadline last year and was an immediate impact for the rest of the season for the Vikings. I was going between 8 and 9. I gave him a 9 because I think there aren't more than 3 or 4 tight ends better than him in the NFL, which puts him in that 9 range.
I gave TJ Hawkinson a 10.
Did you really?
Because he's going to be the best tight end in football. And he's going to be – everything's going to work off him in the Vikings offense. I'm telling you, Hawkinson – everybody talks JJ. We know how great he is. But Hawkinson, look what he did in his first season here.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Half a season. I
was 10, which is tough for me to give any Iowa player a 10. But I had to do – Big 10, I had to do it.
That's fair.
TJ Hawkins is a 10 tight end.
Okay. I gave him a 9. I just – he every now and then he has just like a goofy drop that I just – and then like 2 plays later, kind of like Kyle Rudolph when Rudolph was here. Rudolph would catch an easy ball, and then he'd catch one-handed behind his back between his legs, for 14 yards on a first down. I don't know, whatever.
I'm going to change your mind right now on your vote. I'm going to make you say 10. You know why?
No. Why?
Irv Smith. Now what do you make Hawkinson?
9.
I just love his game, physical.
Yeah.
Can actually, catch the ball and run up the field. How about that?
Yeah. Yep. And I'm gonna love TJ Hawkinson in a Vikings offense for a full season.
It's fantastic.
They have got some playmakers on this offense now.
Look at how fast he adjusted along with Cousins in terms of routes, passes. I mean, they look like they had played a long time together, Ted.
Yeah. I mean, the Vikings went 13-4 last year. And there's a good question. I'll come back to that in a minute.
That's a great question right there.
If Hawkinson has a monster year, how crucial it is to get an extension done right away. I think one of the main reasons they didn't keep Dalvin Cook and let him go is to have money under the cap this year to get a Hawkinson extension done and to get a Justin Jefferson extension done. I think they're both going to get done this year. I truly believe that.
I think Cook's age is what the final answer was. I mean,
and that's part of it. Yeah, that's
he's on his first contract
versus salary. Yeah.
Hey, you ain't kidding, brother. I'm looking forward to Hawkinson being a full season too, man.
Yeah, and I think it was Purple Pain Forms I mentioned earlier. I meant to get to that comment. We just sort of got away from it. My bad on that. That the Vikings, it was PFF said the Vikings are like the number 6 team in the NFL for being cap healthy, which is pretty remarkable when you consider the salary cap mess Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah inherited, 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, great job. Great job, and now they have room for guys like Hawkinson and Darisaw and JJ and all that. So
his plan has worked great so far.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he's navigated the contracts and keeping a team competitive very well so far. Let's move to the offensive line then. Christian Darisaw, starting left tackle. I got him as a 9. I think he's a top 10 tackle in the NFL, which makes him right up there as a 9.
Yes, I have both tackles at 9.
I do too. Yeah, I had both. I had O'Neal as a 9 as well. Look at that. No show for 2 months, and we're still on the same page. Like riding a bike, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man,
like riding a bike.
I'm so happy to hear. I've seen these comments come through, and I'm going, man, I missed this.
Yeah,
I missed the interaction with the fans. They all have great questions. You guys are all smart out there. Where's Tollison? I have both tackles at 9. Do you have both at 9?
I do. Yeah, I had Darisaw and O'Neal at 9. Now, I will say O'Neal, I'm still a little bit concerned about his partially torn Achilles he had. I think at the Green in Lambeau last year. I haven't really. Somebody tell me, is he healthy? Is he going to be ready for training camp? What's the status on O'Neal? We'll go from there.
Yeah, that's something the fans could let us in because I haven't heard anything either.
Yeah. So let's talk guards then. Ezra Cleveland. What do you have? What do you have him as?
A 6.
That's what I got.
Dude,
yeah.
That is crazy. We're like,
because
we're either both stupid or
okay. There's a fair amount of proof on that one. We'll go with that one.
We're either stupid or we're genius.
I'm going to lean towards dumb, but whatever.
Take a left to call Pepper Pass, everybody.
All right, what do you got for? And then Chris Young just said right guard is the big question, and I think he's right. What do you have Ed Ingram at for right guard?
Let me preempt it by saying I like Ed Ingram, and I believe he's going to be the guard of the future, and he's going to get better every year. Starting this year, he's going to shred, and he will be invaluable come up a couple of years from now. That said, I got him at 5.
I got him at a 4. I don't even think he was league average.
Well, you know, the unfair thing for him is he's thrown in too fast. Guards take a couple of years to figure it out, unless you're Quentin Nelson or Ed White, or, you know, Randall McDaniel. But they take a while to adjust, and I think Dave Stefano, Luft Krieger, I think I got this information from him. He said 2 to 3 years on guards. I believe that's what he said on one of his past shows.
Hell yes, Drew. Dave just said, hell yes.
There we go. He got thrown in there. So being against the norm, being thrown in there, I think he's done a better than average job. But I had to give him a 5 because now I got to see what he needs to step it up this season. And I felt bad giving him a 5. I felt like I wanted to give him a 6 or 7, but I had to stick with 5.
I felt bad giving him a 4, and Dave Luft says 3. I had him. I had him as
hardcore, isn't he?
I had him at 3 originally, but then I thought he played better towards the end of the year. And so I thought that was worthy of bumping him up to a 4. Garrett Bradbury. A lot of people didn't want Garrett Bradbury back. I said all along they're going to bring him back, and they did. What do you got for Bradbury?
I got him as a 6.
I have him as a 5. I thought he was league average last year.
I thought he was league average coming up to last year, and I thought he earned one more point from me.
Okay.
Let me. Can I take a second and tell people how we make these lists?
Yeah, sure.
This is based on my system that I came up with. Oh. We don't talk cones. We don't talk how much carbohydrates they eat, what their favorite movie is, the cone drill. We don't do all that stuff. We don't talk about sand in the pants or none of that.
Yeah.
Drew's system is Drew's remedial unique grading system, or drugs for short. We go one. Drew's remedial unique grading system. Maybe I should change that. The drug thing?
Okay. Anyways.
But that's how we do 1 to 10, standard 1 to 10. You don't got to get all fancy and talk about fancy schmancy, boring stuff. That's how Ted and I always do it. We grade 1 to 10.
Yeah.
1 to 10 grading has been around for centuries, Ted.
Yeah, and beer consumption is a big part of my grading system as well.
Chris Young, one beer, 1 point. That's about right. So what was your total?
I didn't total up. I'll say you total yours up while I'm talking, and then I'll give it to you, and I'll total mine up.
My total out of 110, because 11 times 10 is 110.
Okay.
Is that right? 11 times 10 is 110. I had a 78 overall, which puts them right below elite. Even though I thought they were elite before I started making this list, I have them as a 78 out of 110, and you could probably grade that as maybe a B plus or a B. And I'm hoping they're better than that. But they were 7th overall last year in offense. I think they can do better this year, but 78 out of 110 is what I had.
I'll add mine up in a minute as soon as I make this point, and you can take it from there for a minute. The one thing I like about bringing a guy like Garrett Bradbury back, and I know a lot of people were wanting a new center. This is the first time since Mike Zimmer was named coach in 2014 that all 5 starting linemen are returning.
That's amazing.
Continuity, and this is just my humble opinion. And look, I only played up to high school or whatever, so take it for what it's worth. But offensive line is a 5 guys playing as one, and continuity and cohesion is a big part of how well they all play together.
Sure.
And when you have guys, now look, injuries happen, and I get it, guys shuffle in and out. But if you're getting new starters or moving guys from tackle to guard and guard to tackle every year, you're going to have issues with that offensive line getting on the same page and being a good unit. I think these guys all coming back is going to be beneficial for all of them, especially Ingram and especially Bradbury. Bradbury was showing, I thought, a lot of improvement last year as the season was going on. I thought Ed Ingram was showing a lot of improvement as the season was going on because they started to understand what the guy to the left of me and the guy to the right of me is going to do.
How did Bradbury get better? Ted? How does a guy like that who plays 3 or 4 years and is like disappointing for the most part start making ground with a new coaching staff? Is it coaching or is it his ability? I don't know what that is.
I think it's ability. I think it's coaching, and I think it's unit cohesion. You got especially for a center. How many different guards did Bradbury have to play with over 4 years, and then how many different offensive coordinators I think he had from 2014 through O'Connell came in. And then Dave says that and crappy coaches. I mean, and that at the end you had, Clint Gary son of Clint Kubiak or Clint son of Gary Kubiak that was just kind of doing whatever Zimmer wanted him to do because he was a first-year offensive coordinator.
What a terrible hire.
And now you've got
to strengthen your point, you got the great Mick Tingelhoff. Mm-hmm. How long did he have Ed White and Gary to his right?
Exactly. And how good were those guys for how long? Because probably by about year 3 or 4, they knew exactly what each guy was going to do on every play that was called every single time. And it was a surprise when they didn't do what was expected.
Right. So the continuity matters up front.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see that getting settled in. We always used to start off every year going, all right, the O-line, what are we going to do with this mess? Where do I go? What do I do? Who am I? But no, you're right. That's a big point.
I've got 76 total.
I had 78. So we're right along the same. Now I'm going to grade 110 to 100 as A plus, 100 to 90. I don't know how we want to grade that, but we both came up with pretty much the same number, dude.
Yeah.
So by these grades, we're better than average as an offense.
I think so. And you've got somebody mentioned Ingram. I think Ingram's going to improve. With a year in the system, there's no new offensive coordinator coming in. It's going to be the exact same playbook, doing the exact same things, the exact same huddle calls, the exact same cadence from the quarterback. I think that is going to be huge in the development of these guys, like Ingram, Jordan Addison, who's brand new system.
But like I said at the intro,
Yeah.
Ted, that all sounds good, but you better have a scheme and aggressive. Get aggressive with these guys.
I agree.
If they don't get aggressive enough, it doesn't matter what kind of grade we're going to have.
Jamie Dahl, I'm running Ted and Drew at 1.5 speed. I just saw God. Well,
what about Bourbon Shirt for Dave Stefano?
All right. So last question, and then we'll kind of we'll have a couple more things. Then we'll get to the Tunes' Wheel of Destiny. Again, if you're joining us late, that's fine. Just make a comment if you haven't yet, and we will spin for prizes here at the end of the show.
Also, if you blew one of your fingers off last night,
you
qualify for a mug.
If you're all Jason Pierre-Paul now,
no matter what that guy does for his career, he's always going to be remembered for that, huh?
Yeah. Is this a top 10 offense?
Yes.
Top 5 offense?
If the play calling gets really aggressive, yes. If they don't, it's between 5 and 8, maybe 6 and 8. I'm serious, Ted. We got to see a little more out of the Vikings. They got to get the killer instinct going. They have to.
They do. I agree. I agree with you on that. They do.
Getting the 10-point lead and running it up the middle for no gain. When you have a 10-point lead, that's when you should be attacking, according to Harbaugh.
Yeah.
We know they put a 40 burger up 2 years in a row on the Buckeyes.
Shut up.
In November, it's going to be three 40 burgers in a row.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Championship. No.
I
think it has potential to be a 5, but right now I see it at about a 7.
Somewhere between 5 and 10. And I think top 5 is doable. I agree with you if they get aggressive and go for the kill early. I'll like the 98 offense. I'm not saying it's going to be as good as 98. I'm just talking about the killer instinct that 98 offense had.
I mentioned the first downs earlier. That might be the excuse for that might be the defense being so shitty. They had to get a lot of first downs.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Wow, that's cool. Our numbers were almost equal. That's really cool.
So the last thing I'm going to ask before we wrap the show up.
Okay.
What do you think was the best offseason move for the offense?
Drafting Jordan Addison.
Okay. That was going to be my answer, but since you answered that, you use that as your answer. I'm going to say continuity. They have the same offensive system coming back. I think this is Kirk Cousins. For all the years he's been in the NFL, I think this is the first time he has had back-to-back consecutive offensive systems with no changes.
Wow.
I think. Going all the way back to his time in Washington.
I'll use the aggressive card on him, too. For the last 12 years, if Kirk Cousins would have been more aggressive, probably a few Super Bowls under this. He's the only problem. He has the skills, can make the throws. He just doesn't have that Brett Favre take a chance now and then. If he had that, he's getting like that with the Vikings. Last year was a lot different than the previous 4.
Yeah.
So,
but I'll tell you what, that 4th and 8 dump off against the Giants in the playoffs to TJ Hawkinson, what just reinforced all the negative.
You can't do that, Ted.
Yeah, no, they can't. Okay. What was the worst offensive move the Vikings made this offseason?
I would say losing Cook, but I understand why, and I'm not. You can explain it. You feel the same way as me, I think, on this.
Yeah, I understand why he's getting up in age, injuries, and he's too expensive. I completely understand the move.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to maybe make a trade, even when they traded Darius Smith, they got a couple of 5th-round picks back. But I get it. That said, there's still nobody better on the Vikings roster right now that we could prove is better than Dalvin Cook.
And that's what's a little scary about it.
A little bit. Now, is there potential in the running back room to have an overall better running game than the Vikings have had the last couple of years? Yeah, I truly believe there is, but they have to be better. I mean, they have to be better, and they have to go out and they have to prove that they can. I mean, potential is everything, but
that Bijan Robinson guy from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure who took him. I'm not sure when, but
I don't know. Was there even a NFL draft this year? Did we even have
the Vikings were planning on moving on from Cook? I really would have liked to have seen. Addison's a great player. Bijan Robinson's going to be he's an era type running back. He's going to win the rushing title this year. He's a very special back, and I would like to have seen him replaced with him if they knew Cook was going to be gone. But he might have got taken before our pick. I'm not sure. But I'm excited to see what the committee can do. But he was the best running back on this roster, Ted.
So Chris Gates just chimed in. He sent me a message. He said, "So we're saying yes to drugs." Got it.
Get him in here. Get him in here.
I don't think he can. If he's at work, I don't think he can log in. But
we miss you, Chris Gates.
But, yeah, Chris, wish you could join us tonight. We'll we will get you we'll get you on the next time for sure. All right,
Drew's remedial, unique grading system.
All right, with that, folks, I think it's time. We're ready to spin the Toonces Wheel of Destiny to give away a prize. Toonces, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Meow, meow.
All right. Let me switch over to the wheel.
So did you are you glad to be living in the great state of Missouri now, Toonces?
Absolutely.
All right, good deal.
God's country. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can. Yes.
It is God's country. That's a cool looking wheel, Toons. It's very colorful and very round.
Okay.
As wheels are usually round, Ted.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
So everybody's name is on here twice. So you have double the chance to win. Yes.
All right.
Nice.
Here we go.
I love the sound. I don't know who that is.
Doc Proto.
Yeah.
Nice.
Our longtime fan and always been a follower of the show, Doc Proto. Glad everything's going well with you, and you got another Viking prize. I think he's
multi-time prize. Like Doc Proto's won the VR lottery like half a dozen times now.
He's like that Earnhardt Senior guy, winning all those championships over there. Doc Proto, he doesn't mess around when it comes to spinning that wheel. He's on it.
All right, congratulations, Doc. Well done. All right, that should about do it for us, I think, for right now. Quick announcement: we now that we are back, we wanted to get a live show just to let everybody know we're still alive and we're still doing shows. Starting next week, we will be back with our regular studio show next Sunday, which would be the 16th,
right?
I believe, yeah. Next Sunday, the 16th, 10 a.m. Central Time, our show will air, and we'll be back to our regular schedule from there. When we get to training camp and all that other stuff, if there's some breaking news, we'll probably try and come in with a live show, and we will definitely try and get Chris's schedule synced up so he can join us next time as well. Drew, before we sign off for the night, what are your parting thoughts?
I just want to say it's great to be back and doing a show with you, Ted. I've really missed Viking talk and football, and I've missed the great fans that we have that write into the show. And it's just, isn't this awesome tonight? It's been great.
It's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Great. First prize giveaway in a while. I'm glad nobody blew their fingers off, but we went through the offense. We got plenty more to talk about. Like I said, we're 36 days away from the preseason opener. Just great to be back. It's this feels good. I was a little nervous going into this. Were you? I was saying, do I know how to do this? Do I remember how to do this? But
I was too. I was like really kind of. Do I even remember how to do this? The purple plane forms fires. Should we mention? I don't know what's going on.
That's crazy. I'm looking back to getting into the studio next week. Those shows are always fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
But thank you for everybody showing up tonight. I appreciate it. We're right around the corner from Vikings football, baby. Yeah. Groovy, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. So we will be back next Sunday at 10 a.m. and then we are back. We are back for the rest of the season. We are done with our vacations. We are done with moving. We are done with it all except Minnesota Vikings football. So for Drew, for Ruby, for our buddy Chris who couldn't join us tonight, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for being patient while we were on our hiatus. We're just happier than happy that we're back. So Skol Vikings, and we'll see you guys next time.
Go Blue!
Shut up.